Pisces, I'm Susan, I'm your intuitive, and this is your May 2025 Taurus season reading. Love and money. Venus is finally moving out of your sign. That will mean that everything except for Saturn has finally moved out of your sign. It's like, not just yet. So we're going to do love first, and the cards have already fallen. We have the World and the Empress out. I picked them up weird. That's why they're both upright. Well. How interesting and powerful is this reading for your love life? So, Taurus season, we're in now. This is the Taurus card. For Pisces risings, Taurus will be in your third house of communication, extended family, meaning like the closest people to you that you call family, and your day-to-day life, short-term travel, and how you live your life. It seems as though that with everything shifting, there is going to be a lot of full circle moments, perhaps a lot of closures. This all has to do with how you are healing this area of your life in terms of how you have had to really take a look at where you are, where you can be receptive, and at times where it can be difficult. Venus has come through and asked you, what are your values? What are your connections and your relationships? Where are your boundaries? Do you use them? I said to Aries, because the World came out for Aries too, interestingly enough, first as well. And there's an aura. This is a boundary. Your aura is a boundary. And if you protect it, it can become the greatest boundary for you. And all these fixed signs are here keeping it in place, kind of. Or cornering, right? We're going to use keeping it in place. And she looks back. Vulnerable, exposed, and she looks back. At this time, when you look back in your life, as Taurus season continues, it may register to you finally how much you've shifted. And some might say, throughout many traditions and lineages, that learning is the whole point, that growth is the whole point. Where in your life are you allowing yourself to grow into this person who is loved, who is honored, who is creating, and whatever you're creating is creating the abundance. If you're thinking about a family as well, this may be a great time to start thinking about it, unless you are having and already starting that process. You may find that through this process, there's a lot of full circle moments. There's a lot of things that, for example, one of the best ones is one that you've complained about, or one that you've seen, you say, oh, I'll never do that. And then you do it, and then it comes through. Sometimes, and what I've learned in the Kabbalah tradition is that if someone shares a story and you're in the room, there might be a reason for it. You specifically, the one who resists or thinks that you don't have to listen to it, is the one who may need the story. So listen. Vulnerability is speaking up, because this is Empress is Taurus. Taurus rules the throat. Also, the Venus sign sits here. How is listening to your literal situations in your life, instead of just, someone like me coming along and sharing these things with you, or maybe you're going to people for advice a lot, and yet you don't realize that all of in which you need is showing up in your life for you to move through, for you to take a look at, for you to respond, for you to listen. So this deeper sense of listening is going to be helpful with everything in Aries, because Aries rules the head. A little too hard on myself. I know, girl, I know. Listen, sometimes we get cut. Sometimes we just get cut right in the third eye. I had to make a joke of it with you, as we know. Because I know you're making fun of me right now. You might be. I know you might be. Anyways, Pisces. I know that it's like there's a part of you that also feels for, people in pain, right? But defining your boundaries, even if you will be able to loosen them, maybe tightening your boundaries, Taurus season says, maybe you become more receptive, maybe you spend more time alone, are very selective about where you spend your time, where you spend your energy, where you spend your energy in your mind. We just went through the Taurus new moon. It was a very, what did you dig up? Very earthy. What did you dig up? Very Venusian. There's Libra in there too. What did you dig up in your thoughts that you've been holding on to in your body, perhaps your throat? Maybe you didn't realize you needed to release. Maybe you got into some kind of conversation, could have been a confrontation. How is your throat being used? How is your voice being used? And how is it based off of your connection to the ether? Your deeper connection to the ether is what keeps you connected to the earth. And where have you been speaking from? Have you been speaking from the past, from who you used to be, from your trauma, from where you've been hurt, where the scars have been? And at one point in life, those stories served a purpose, and now it's almost like any stimulation or any story that once was doesn't have as much effect, doesn't have as much weight. Bottom of the deck. This is you being able to open a new portal to abundance, to see where at one point with everything in Pisces, including Saturn still being there, we're slowly delayering, which is why we're being revealed to different things at different times with all of these movements, with all these transits, right? The final transit of the outer planets is not until July. So every month we're moving through something and peeling a layer back. It just so happens that a lot of the transits were in Pisces, not the last two. So it'll be a little different. These ones are a lot heavier, a lot more emotional, because they hold a lot of weight in the patterning to who we've become and how we voice that. I'm learning every day something new. How you voiced it, how you voiced your vulnerability, how you've appreciated your thoughts or not, or looked outwardly when you already knew, or just of course, validation, right? But the way that you're going to reflect as you move forward to round this out about, and this is all about love, so all about your relationships and love. So that's just how you love in general too. So it's not just like your literal relationship. It could be that there's a Taurus in your life and they have become someone you didn't think they would be, and all of a sudden maybe you're going into business together, or they're helping you come up with an idea, or they're supporting you somehow with financial security, or they're in this relationship with them, you've learned to become emotionally secure. And in order for us to achieve that, yes, we have to do it on our own. We have to process, but having relationships where we can feel so safe and secure help us see wherever we lack that in ourselves, or help us learn. So this has been a big shift and through this season. Then Mercury will also move into Taurus. What's going to make this so well-rounded is that you're gonna have words for it. Even if it's just for yourself, you have words for it. You have some kind of identification for what everything was, because a lot of times, like, you don't need the words. You go through the experience and other people have the words, but you're going to have them. And not just have them, you're going to experience them and be able to name what has been happening for so long. And your mind may feel clear at times, and that clarity is going to show you things that maybe that you may have to move through emotionally, of course, but the clarity more than anything, I think, is going to be a relief, because you're not going to feel crazy if you felt crazy. You're not going to feel like, you know, why am I keep repeating this thing? Is there, if you have like more of a victim, if you've been living from hurt, and as we say, hurt people, like if you've been on that side of the coin, there has been already shifts, but there's going to be a bigger revealing to you. It's also been learning about materials and possessions, how much weight they carry in your sense of self-worth and security, how much weight they carry from your day-to-day. Yeah, there's just this huge full circle moment of revealing who you really are now and owning that in a way where you can move forward, especially in terms with love and feeling secure in love and feeling like you're being heard and you're being seen and vice versa. So I didn't really talk about if you're single, but if you're single, it's about this empowerment that you have, whether you're actively dating or not. There will be suitors probably that you may be acknowledged for, because you have this aura about you at this time. Regardless of how you emotionally feel, there's just something shifting about you, and you're able to attract. And it doesn't mean you jump right in, of course, but you're able to attract and see and perceive from now this new perspective. And I think for you, that is so enjoyable right now, and that may, because you're so magnetic, or you may become even more magnetic with this like wash after Venus finally moves into Aries. You know, you may not feel like you want to jump in right away with anything. However, don't be afraid, because part of you may want to explore. Mutable sign, you may want to like, oh, but like this newness, I want to, but then if you meet someone and it's great, you know, just roll with it. Who knows? We'll get more into it in the second part, which that brings me to, all links are below. The second part is on Patreon. That's on your first link directly to the Pisces extended reading. And then my schedule is below, website, payment options, TikTok and Instagram. I am Venusian Wave, same thing everywhere. Yeah, all that's below. I look forward to interacting with you. Wow, okay. Money wants to talk. Money's like, shh, let's talk. Okay, this is a lot of cards, so I'm honestly gonna put these back. These are the first 4 that have come out, but we're gonna do a little reshuffle, okay? Just a little reshuffle for Pisces, for money. Okay, that's plenty. First we have the Tower, then we have the King of Swords. It looks like there's a huge moment, and this is that emotional security that we're talking about. This isn't just, this is that emotional security we're talking about. This isn't just financial, because they go hand in hand. You may have been moving through during this Venus transit something like your love life seems more secure, or the love you have for yourself is much more secure. The money, though, it seems like this is where all of the like active work is being put in at this time, and you have gotten to a point where you became very disciplined, or you've needed to create structure, because whatever shifted within you caused, maybe it could have caused freeze, right? You could have caused you to try to control more perhaps, and which left you maybe opting for, and maybe you have an option or opportunity coming into your life now. And then we have the 2 9s. So we're also in a 9 week right now. We won't be all month, just this week that this comes out. And this will be out on 4/29 or 4/30. So what this situation makes you realize is that there's a groundedness you need to have in your mind, a steady mind. There's a discipline that you may want to adopt or develop, or you begin to develop at this time. And it makes you realize opportunities like this Page of Cups coming your way. This Page of Cups, whether you decide to take the opportunity or not, it is the perfect way to wrap up and end whatever cycle you're going through with money, especially if you have a hard time being discerning about it. It kind of is neither here nor there. It comes and goes. This is ending any way in which you've been too casual in your brain or too content with living this way. There's a part of you that may deeply feel like content and comfortable in this constant transition because maybe you've been there for a while. Most likely you have, because it's actually a deep mental healing that relates to how emotionally stable you are. There's a part of you that feels secure with many things going on, even though they're not giving you exactly what you need, because you think that if this is the way you go, which is Saturn wants you to see you show up every day. And it has been going through your sign for a while. This isn't just for people with Saturn in Pisces. Has been deeply affecting that sun, rising, and moon. So this emotional security needs you to show up every day, disciplined in your mind, so that you see if an opportunity, whether it is positive or negative, that every opportunity is a way for you to learn. And finally, you're ending perhaps this cycle in your mind, maybe about doubting yourself, maybe you're questioning the opportunity. We have the Queen of Swords at the bottom. 2, you may need to ask for advice as well. And let me tell you the thing about advice, especially if it's unsolicited, but especially if it's not. If you're going in and going into a social media and you're actively looking for advice, or you're talking to someone specifically, I would say maybe manifest or think about someone that you really do admire and how they've been able to transform their life. Unsolicited advice might not be taken as well, but if you do receive some and it triggers you or affects you in some way, let yourself process that, because it's happening. And if you are asking for advice, or you're asking for another perspective at this time, the best thing we can remember even about readings like this, what I've learned about being a reader and going to readers throughout my life, is that either they really do validate you and they give you what you need, they provide that, or the need is for you to listen to an opinion just to double down on what your own is. You may disagree completely with me and be like, no, this is what I know. Okay, great. You now know. That is still giving you what you need. And that's what I've learned, is that even if you say no, you're actually making me realize it's this. Perfect. Either way, this is an opportunity to transform your relationship with how you get comfortable with this mental fog. You think, oh, I'm just a Pisces, this is what I go through, or oh, this has been with me forever, or whatever it has caused this. You have more control than that. And now you finally get to see it. And now you finally get to wield the sword. And this may make you have to say no to some opportunity that appears good or appeared good. And maybe you said yes at first, and then you realize, it's just not for me, which is making you get more clear on what is for you. And that's what's most important right now, Pisces, okay? Getting clarity on what is for you, because the money has no pentacles in it. So you're just going through a huge transformation process with your masculinity, and you may have to let a part of yourself die. Your new life is going to cost you your old life. The new way is going to cost you the old way, and you don't have to start now. You could wait another month, right? But even just getting it in motion in your mind that, you know, things have to shift. And then when you finally get talking about it, you know, maybe you give yourself time to process then too, and then it keeps coming up, and all of a sudden it seems easier and there's more support than you realize. And maybe this opportunity looked great, but all of a sudden it's just this great lesson so that you can get to the next phase of your life. So if you're in a business, if you're an employer or an employee, it's really important to have discernment right now, because this also is that you may hear, for some of you may hear some not so great news. It may cause you to feel very sad. It may end up putting you into a grieving period if that's what's happening in your life. Although it's gonna, whatever this is, allows for great confusion to be cleared. And if you're willing to see yourself clearly in this area, you know, Venus kind of came in and not just wiped the slate clean, had you go back and forth and everything. So the clarity that you find, and even if it's just internal, you see who someone is, and then you have to gain the courage and the understanding to actually reveal it to yourself, and then decide how you're going to go about that, because this is also based off of how you value yourself and how this affects your health and how that affects your money, and what being disciplined or, you know, discerning in an area, it causes a deeper trust to perhaps happen. So having mantra, having some kind of spiritual practice may be very beneficial to that mental change. Okay, Pisces? Lots of change, and you already know that. So at the end of this month, we have a lot of things to talk about. So take a look at the next part, and I look forward to seeing you in the next month for Gemini season, when Saturn finally goes direct. Or no, into your sign.